Okay, let's talk about a word that makes a lot of us, well, kind of tense. Budgeting. For so many people, it just sounds like a cage, right? Something that's built to restrict you. But what if I told you that's all wrong? We're going to flip that entire idea on its head and show you how a budget is actually the key to unlocking the life you really want to live.
So this is really the whole conversation, isn't it? Cage or key? When you hear the word budget, what's your gut reaction? Do you feel those walls closing in, that sense of restriction, or do you feel a sense of possibility? Now, if you're like most of us, you're probably leaning hard towards cage, but stick with me because we're about to change that whole perspective for good.
You know, there's a very real reason the word budget makes us cringe. It just lands with this heavy thud, and it brings up this instant feeling of dread. It feels less like a helpful tool and more like some kind of punishment, like it was designed specifically to suck all the fun out of your life. So let's dig into what that fear actually looks and feels like.
This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the fear. It's this belief that the second you start a budget, you're basically signing a contract to stop enjoying your life. You know, all the spontaneity, all the joy, it's just going to be scheduled right out of existence. If that thought has ever crossed your mind, trust me, you are not alone.
And just look at this cycle. It all starts with that feeling of restriction, which of course leads to feeling deprived. It's just like being on a super strict diet, right? And what happens when you cheat on that diet? You feel this wave of intense guilt. And before you know it, the whole thing just feels overwhelmingly complex. And the final result of all of this? A constant nagging anxiety around every dollar. It is an exhausting loop to be stuck in.
So let's just put a name on this thing. The big myth we're busting today is the idea that a budget is nothing more than a long, depressing list of no's. No more grabbing coffee, no more dinner with friends, no more fun. Ever.
Exactly. This myth turns the budget into the villain of your life story. It's the thing that's forcing you to shrink your world to cut out everything you actually enjoy. But what if that's not what a budget is for at all? What if we've had it completely backwards this whole time?
Because the reality is, it's the complete opposite. A budget isn't a plan for no, it is a plan for yes. Seriously, think of it as a tool that you design for yourself, not to restrict the life you already have, but to start building the life you truly want.
This is the huge mental shift we need to make. We're trading the chains of restriction for the power of intention, where you get to choose exactly where your money goes. We're swapping out that tangled mess of complicated rules for the beautiful clarity of a simple plan. It is all about moving from that feeling of constant deprivation to one of genuine freedom. The freedom to spend on what you love without an ounce of guilt.
So here it is, the new definition. I want you to let this one really sink in. A budget is a plan that gives you permission to spend. Its one and only job is to help you figure out what you truly value. Is it travel, hobbies, saving for a house, and then to actively aim your money to make those things happen? This is it. This is the whole thing right here. Look, you only have a finite amount of money. You can't say yes to absolutely everything. A budget helps you stop saying a kind of half-hearted yes to 1,000 little things you don't really care about, so you can shout a confident, wholehearted yes to the few big things that truly matter to you.
Okay, so how do we actually make this happen? How do we go from this being a nice idea to being our actual financial freedom? Well, the answer is having a plan. A plan that completely takes the guesswork and, more importantly, the guilt out of your spending.
It really just comes down to these 4 simple steps. First, you track. And listen, no judging, okay? Just observe. For a week or a month, just get a clear picture of where your money is going right now. Second, you align. Look at that spending and ask the big question. Does this line up with my values, with my goals? Is this really who I want to be? Third, you plan, and this is the fun part. You intentionally set aside money for the things you love, giving yourself permission to spend on that vacation or that hobby completely guilt-free. And finally, you achieve. You get to watch as your money, which is now working for you, starts to build the life that you actually design.
And this is what it's all for. This feeling of control. You're no longer just reacting to bills and expenses as they pop up. You are proactively telling your money exactly where to go. It is the difference between being a passenger in your own life and being the one in the driver's seat.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. Every single month, your money is going to get spent. That's a guarantee. The only real question is, will it be spent by accident or will it be spent by design? A budget is simply your design. It's your blueprint for your life. So isn't it time you picked up the pencil and became the architect?